How you doing? Hey, how you doing?
Okay, my name is Leah Cass. I'm the Public Relations Manager at the Galveston Convention and Visitors Bureau. I just wanted to welcome all of you and thank you for being here. I just wanted to give you a brief introduction on how the program is going to work. We have several panelists that are going to come up for each panel. We ask that for media you wait for question and answer until after each panel, and then we'll transition to the next panel. A lot of the statistics and things we'll be going over are located in your press packet for the media, so make sure you check that out as a resource. And we're getting ready to get started. First, we're going to start out with some words from Senator Larry Taylor, who's here to address us, and then we'll keep moving in the program.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you for being here this morning, and what a beautiful day on Galveston Island. As you look out here, it's a little tough for me. I'm actually a surfer, and there's actually some small waves out there I could be playing on, so I'd rather be sitting where you are looking that way. But as you can see, Galveston Island, for the most part, particularly our tourist areas, is back, and it's back stronger and better than ever. But what we've learned through Hurricane Ike after 5 years, that there are things that we can do to make sure that that doesn't happen again, at least not to the extent that it happened. I just finished up a visit last week in New Orleans looking at their storm surge projects there. That can happen in this area for a whole lot less money and a whole lot less complex project. And we will not be faced with what we had to deal with the 1900 storm and then the Hurricane Ike with the storm surge, which caused the majority of the problem down here in Galveston. Of course, there's other things we at the state level can do. We need to be prepared for the next storm wherever it strikes along our coast. And part of that, as most of you know, is a windstorm. And we need to get that management corrected and fixed, I'd say replaced, and we also need to get our funding levels back up so we can have the proper funding if we do have a large event hit our coast again, somewhere along the coast. But I really am a big proponent of what's known as the Ike Dike. We need to get that thing done for this area to make sure this area is never inundated like it was. And it's not just this area. For those of you from the Houston area, the Ike Dike concept we're talking about, imagine in Hurricane Ike, if it hit a little bit further south, and that storm surge would have gone up the ship channel. You would have had our petrochemical complex devastated. So this 5-year recovery, we actually recovered the Houston area much quicker. But imagine that, I understand the Texas City Dike, which has a large petrochemical complex, was within a foot or two of topping that dike. This area's recovery would have been much more reduced and slowed, frankly, and that would have affected the whole country because Texas, as you may know, is frankly the job creator for the whole country, with about 30% of all the new jobs in the whole state created in this one state. So this is not just a local issue with the Ike Dike, and it's not just a state issue, how important the ports and the petrochemical things are for our state economy, but it's the national interest that we need to take care of and make sure it's done. And my understanding is somewhere $3 to $5 billion, we can have that dike done here in Texas. And they spent $15.7 billion or something like that over in New Orleans. So the cost benefit for doing that here far exceeds what was done in New Orleans. So if we can do that in New Orleans, we need to do that here. With that, I'll take any questions you have as far as a statement. I was told 3 minutes, and 3 minutes goes pretty fast, so particularly for a politician. So. Are there any questions? Well, thank you very much. I love an easy audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Taylor. All right, so we're going to start off the conference with our tourism panel. We're going to ask the tourism speakers to come up. First, we have Brad Smith. He's the tourism director from the Office of the Governor for Tourism and Economic Development. We also have Meg Winchester, who's the director of the Galveston Island Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as Paul Schultz, who's the president of the Galveston Hotel and Lodging Association.
Good morning, everybody. I'm honored to be here today. 5 years ago, people of Galveston were faced with one of the most imposing construction projects in recent memory, as Hurricane Ike tore apart what the people of this town had built over generations. However, it couldn't destroy the spirit of this community. The people of Galveston came together and began the rebuilding process almost immediately. The rebirth of Galveston over the last half decade is truly one of the most remarkable accomplishments of our recent history, I believe. And the evidence of that accomplishment can be found everywhere you see. It can certainly be found in Galveston's renewed status as a tourism epicenter for the state and the entire region. Not only has visitor spending in Galveston returned to pre-IPE levels, it now exceeds those levels. That's testament, I believe, to the hard work and the dedication of the people who do so much to make Galveston the attractive destination it is for people across our state, the country, and from around the world. In our efforts at the Economic Development and Tourism Division to market the Texas travel product, the Texas coast and beaches feature prominently in our TV, print, and digital ads that run nationally and internationally. The Texas coast also has a strong presence on our website and in our promotional and marketing activities. Just as tourism is very vital to the economic vitality of Galveston, it is also, or has a huge impact on the state of Texas. In 2012, travel to Texas improved by 6% over 2011, with more than 220 million visitors to Texas destinations from within the United States alone. Travel spending in 2012 in Texas was $65 billion, an increase of 6% over 2011, and it directly supported 568,000 jobs across the state. Maybe equally important, travel and tourism introduces many people to our state, some who've never been here before. These visitors are introduced to the many facets of Texas life, and more than a few of them realize that the state is one of the best places to live, work, and raise a family. And that's just one of the reasons that our population is growing by more than 1,000 people a day. And having a place like Galveston close at hand is part of the enhanced quality of life that brings people to Texas. Galveston is also a critical hub for the cruise ship industry. For Texas, that meant an economic impact of $1.2 billion in direct spending in 2012, supporting 20,000 jobs across the state. 6% of U.S. embarkations in 2012 originated here in Galveston, leading to more than $65 million in local spending. Again, I believe that's testimony to how quickly and how completely this region has rebounded from 2008's storm, and how important Galveston continues to be in bringing people to Texas. From the cruise ship docking pier to beautiful hotels like the San Luis Resort next door, to the meetings that are booked in this convention center, to the brand new pleasure pier down the street, Galveston is a place where people make fond memories that last a lifetime. And on behalf of Governor Perry and the Office of Economic Development and Tourism, I'd like to congratulate everybody in Galveston for what they've accomplished over the last half decade. Galveston is truly a part of what makes Texas the wonderful place it is. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for being with us today. My name is Meg Winchester. I'm the director of the Galveston Island Convention and Visitors Bureau. I was here during IPE, and I'm so excited to be able to share with you how well tourism has done in the past years. I can honestly say tourism is one of the biggest reasons Galveston has recovered so quickly. Directly after the storm, the CVB worked diligently to promote the island and let people know we were open and recovering quickly. And 5 years after the hurricane, our tourism numbers show that Galveston as a destination is more than back, it's better. In 2012, the island experienced its best tourism season on record, with visitors spending $655 million to generate a $908 million economic impact to the island. This year, early indicators of our revenue numbers indicate we are having another great year. Visitation has also been on an upward trend. Last year, the island drew 5.7 million visitors compared to 5.4 million in 2007, the year before the storm. Much of the growth in Galveston's tourism industry can be directly attributed to the business's community heavy investment in rebuilding the tourism infrastructure. Since the storm, more than $125 million has been invested on the island to create new attractions. The most visible of which is the beautiful Galveston Island Historic Pleasure Pier, which you all saw when driving in this morning. The CVB and the Port of Galveston have also worked strategically to grow Galveston as a national destination for cruising, as well as pre- and post-cruise vacations. In 2012, the number of cruise passengers increased by 30%, with 5 ships cruising from the island. In addition to the $60 million pleasure pier, which opened in May 2012 and replaced the flagship hotel that was destroyed during Ike, there have been a number of new tourism attractions and developments since Ike that are worth noting. Moody Gardens, which is one of the most visited attractions on the island, has invested $25 million to completely redesign its popular rainforest pyramid. The complex also transformed its Palm Beach attraction into a kids' water park and is in the process of a $20 million renovation to the Moody Gardens Hotel. Downtown Galveston, which has experienced massive flooding during Ike, has been revitalized and recently was designated an official culture arts district by the Texas Commission on the Arts. New attractions downtown include a new interactive pirate museum, the haunted Mayfield Manor, and jet boat thrill rides, to name a few. Pier 21 on Galveston Harbor has opened new restaurants since Ike, such as Nono Tony's World Kitchen that opened last fall. Being located next door to the Galveston Cruise Terminal, we have found the attractions and museums at Pier 21 and in the Strand area have played a role in attracting major cruise lines that see the benefit in offering passengers pre- and post-cruise excursions and vacation opportunities. Finally, the island's historic attractions, such as Bishop's Palace and Moody Mansion, have withstood the test of time and disaster and are thriving, as are the popular Hurricane Ike tree sculptures found within the island's East End Historical District. Tourism is the second largest contributor to Galveston's economy and generated 1 in every 3 jobs on the island last year. The story of Galveston's recovery cannot be told fully without its ever-growing impact of tourism being a part of it. Thank you so much for your time today, and we look forward to the coming year.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Schultz. I'm the president of the Galveston Hotel Lodging Association, and I also am vice president and managing director of the San Luis Resort for Landry's Corporation. I had the pleasure and a very unique experience of staying during Hurricane Ike. We maintained the command center for the city of Galveston at the San Luis, so a lot of stories, a lot of interesting things that happened. But I'd like to focus really on some things that got us to where we are today. I think it's very important to know that Galveston is a great destination for conferences and for meetings. And I will say how important it was that our state associations in Texas, Texas Chapter of American Planning Association, Texas District and County Attorneys Association, these were groups that represented anywhere from 800 to 1,500 room nights. And those folks were booked immediately after Hurricane Ike hit in this building. And they all made it a point to say, you know what, we're going to be loyal to Galveston. We're going to come back. The state association and the groups and the business out there is very attracted to Galveston. And they were very much a big part of the recovery efforts and to where we are today. So I certainly thank them for their loyalty to Galveston. And it's everything that Galveston has to offer which makes that attractive to them. Our focus was to work with the CVB, to work with GRAD, the Governor's Office of Tourism, to work with the State Hotel Lodging Association, the Travel Industry Association, to let folks know that we were back and stronger than ever. So we worked very closely with those people. We brought them to our hotels. We brought the meeting planners from Austin, from Dallas, from New Orleans, from San Antonio, brought them in to see how we survive and how we just keep getting better and better every day. From our service commitment to our facilities, we rebounded very quickly. I thought it was interesting, the group up the street, up 45, NASA, had their 50th anniversary. 3,000 people were set to be in this building immediately after Hurricane Ike. And NASA, again, because of the loyalty to Galveston, they could have gone to Houston, they could have gone to the Hilton Americas or another property, George R. Brown, but they said, you know what, we're going to wait till Galveston's back on its feet and we're going to be loyal to Galveston. So it was great, and again, we appreciate that loyalty that makes us where we are today. I still to this day hear people that come to the San Luis, to our properties, and visit hotels, and it's amazing of how positive they are and say how Galveston has never looked better. And they compare it to maybe other destinations that have gone through an experience like Hurricane Ike. And it just makes you feel very good to work here and be part of this community, to realize the efforts of the community and how well everyone worked together. The political efforts, we certainly applaud our legislators, keeping UTMB as a thrust in our economy. This building, all of our hotels, we depend on UTMB for meetings, for social gatherings. It's so great, and I applaud again our legislators that have continued to keep that facility intact and make it stronger, because that helps the hoteliers. During the spring of this year, we welcomed 2 new Marriott properties to the island. And in 2010, the Four Points by Sheraton was built here on the seawall. And if you look at the major hotels, or the large hotels on the island, the Hotel Galvez, beautiful renovation, complete new restaurant. Moody Gardens, complete renovation. San Luis just added a grotto, and renovations continue at our property. So it really does, it just keeps getting better and better. I will say this, I think it's always great to note that any tragedy, as Ike was, that the human spirit responds, and everyone is so positive. Working as a community, and especially in hotels where you compete with each other for business and for employees and everything out there, how well the community worked together. We had hotels that maybe their laundry was down and flooded. You can't operate a hotel if you don't have clean linen. So other hotels would offer to do the laundry for the competitors. We'd help out with equipment. If the equipment was damaged by a hotel, we would share. And we'd share employees. So I really feel as a hotel community, the efforts and all the challenges going through Ike made us stronger and stronger. Preparedness, when you're on the Gulf Coast and you're on a body of water that's right behind us or right in front of you, every storm is different. We learned from Rita about the wind, and we learned from Ike about the water, and it made our preparedness stronger. So, we're a little vulnerable on the Gulf Coast, but if it ever comes again, we're going to be ready, and we're going to be better prepared. And really, loyalty, I can't say enough that I know working in the hotel post-Ike, how loyal and the heart and soul of the folks that really operate a hotel. I remember coming in after the morning after Ike, and I'd see associates of ours in the dining room. We probably had 600 to 800 people in an area that we were feeding, because we had the media, and we had the city, and we had our staff. And I saw employees, with their name tag on and pressed, and they truly bought into the spirit of hospitality. And to me, that's what I love about the business, and to me, that makes it, I'm just so proud of the folks that went through that. They went through a personal tragedy at their home, but they came to work and focused on the true meaning of hospitality. We maintained our standards and decorum. I think all of our properties did, which again keeps the normalcy of getting things back and up and running. Closing comment, I would just say that, again, as a hotelier and an operator, genuine care and comfort and safety of our guests is truly our highest mission, which is why we are here today and why we came back stronger. Thank you.
So we'll open it up for question and answer if anyone has questions on the tourism industry.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll have Mayor Louis Rosen as well as Deanne Bolton come up. They're going to be talking about housing and population. I did want to mention again on the tourism stats that last year was the best tourism season Galveston Island has ever experienced in terms of room revenues as well as tourism revenues. So the industry is doing well, and on that we will head to housing and population.
Again, thank everybody for coming. I'm going to apologize. I have a council meeting going on right now, so I'm going to have to leave as soon as it's over. And for all I know, they might have fired me, so I just want to say. I'm so proud of Galveston and the citizens here. I thought I knew a lot of people before I ran for mayor, but actually being mayor and meeting all the great people of Galveston, it's been the most rewarding thing I think I've ever done, except for being a father and grandfather. But again, thank you again for being here. Galveston suffered 80% of its residents experienced flooding during Hurricane Ike. Total damage of $29.5 billion worth of damage. Our population in 2008 was close to 60,000 people. The 2010 census came back at 47,700 people. We don't have the number of folks that have actually come back. It'll probably be another 7 years before we get another census, but I feel like our population is back and growing strong. We have a lot to be proud of. Real estate for single-family residents, the first 8 months of 2012 versus 2013 have increased 39%. Real estate overall for the first 8 months of 2012 to 2013 have increased sales of $47 million. It's from 122 million in sales to 169 million. Pre-Ike, the ad valorem taxes, or the value of the property on the rolls, was $6.2 billion. After Ike, it dropped to $5.6 billion. 2012, we're back to $6.4 billion. It's an increase of $200 million before the values that were on the record at Ike. And 2013 is going to be even stronger, so we're really grateful for that number. We can, the general fund can really count on ad valorem taxes. As everybody knows, our sales tax can be vulnerable if we have bad weather, so we're real proud to get our property tax values up again. Round 1 Community Development Block Grant Disaster Relief Funds provided for 624 homes to be rebuilt. There are more than 800 homes slated for Round 2 funds. Currently, in a period of transition with public housing, and the Galveston Housing Authority plans to break ground on the Cedar Terrace project in November of this year. Galveston is just wonderful. We're becoming proactive. I know the Ike is going to be the thing that's really going to set us apart from the rest of the country. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Diane Polzine. I'm the Chief Human Resources, Student Services, and Communications Officer for the Galveston Independent School District. In August of 2008, GISD opened to a totally new configuration after a year of planning with, of course, our district and our community members, only to remain in this configuration for a short 3-week window of time until Hurricane Ike struck this island and devastated many of our campuses. I looked back at notes of how we notified our almost 10,000 parents, students, and staff when we decided we would release early on that Thursday and not open on that Friday. To get the word out to a whole community of students, parents, and staff was an unbelievable task. During the storm, when Hurricane Ike hit Galveston the night of September 12th, most of our families at that point had evacuated. GISD essential personnel sheltered at the San Luis Hotel, and of course that became the command center. Perhaps the most dramatic scenes from our schools were found at our Ball High School that was named in the last hour as a shelter of last resort. Our mayor informed our GISD officials that Ball High School would be the shelter to those who could not evacuate. As early as September 11th, Islanders started arriving at our Ball High campus. By the end of the storm, there were over 650 Galveston residents housed at the Ball campus. Our child nutrition department had meals prepared for 1,500 people for 3 days. The meals, of course, were items that did not need to be warmed or prepared, and we were ready. Many of our residents had no place to go after the storm, so they remained at Ball High School for several days. Immediately after the storm, a large part of our family, our GISD family, as you might imagine, their homes were devastated, and they too had nowhere to go. Where our students hovered around 7,700 the start of that school year, those numbers dipped dramatically to 4,300 when school returned. One of the small victories in the aftermath of Ike is that after 18 days, our schools were able to open. Many of our counterparts across the highway, across the causeway, were not even able to open at that time. But in Galveston ISD, due to the efforts of many of our staff members and certainly our facilities management department, our school was opened. We were forced to realign once again. We had to move many of our students and staff to campuses that were open. Our Burnett, Scott, Central, as well as Crenshaw campus in Bolivar were closed immediately after the storm indefinitely. Central Middle School students joined Weiss Middle School, and Burnett students went to our other elementary schools. Crenshaw students had to leave the area to attend school in other parts of the state. We worked on a reciprocity agreement with a school district that was close to Crenshaw on the other side of the Bolivar Peninsula, and several of our teachers became staff members at that campus, and many of our students from Crenshaw attended school in that direction. The National Guard, firefighters, and EMS members stayed in our Crenshaw school for several months. One of the only buildings remaining in Bolivar after the storm, we were filled with county personnel who were conducting all of their searches and all of the things that those folks do. There was little access and mass destruction, which led to the closure of school until February of the following year. Spore Field, the field directly behind our Ball High School, became the main staging point for the military for the months after the storm. The Red Cross set up a makeshift tent city behind our Alamo School. That was a recently closed elementary. These temporary living areas stayed open for a few months until more permanent living space could be provided. Our school district personnel certainly were regular visitors because many of our students were housed in the tent city behind our Alamo School. All students in our district received free breakfast and lunch for 8 to 10 weeks after. The 2008 football season, of course you know football is king in Texas, went on in 2008. All of our games were played completely on the road with anybody that we could get to agree to suit up in a uniform. We put them on the field. We communicated with our staff by setting up blogs because we weren't certain who would be coming back when we did open for business. That was a very safe venture for us, and we had the opportunity to let our staff know exactly what was going on. Our parents and students as well with an alert calling system. Overall, GISD suffered approximately $40 million in damage due to Ike throughout our school district. Ike recovery, the Federal Emergency Management System, FEMA, approved 109 projects to rebuild and renovate our facilities. Central Middle School reopened in September of 2009 after a $7+ million renovation of the first floor. Our Scott Middle School opened in September of 2010. 5 years later, signs of Ike impact remain with our Burnett Elementary, which is still not opened, although we do have a tentative reopen date for the start of the 2014 school year. Burnett is the biggest sign of Ike's impact on our Galveston schools. Student enrollment numbers are currently at 6,780 students. We have around 1,000 students less than before Ike, but enrollment has steadily increased since Ike. Over 1,000 students have returned to Galveston in the last 3 years. One of the most heartwarming efforts came from the aftermath of Ike, when we had a group of Ball High students that created the Ike documentary. It was shown many times at the Galveston Opera House. We do have many film festivals as well that we can tout that this particular video went through in the aftermath. This Saturday, September 14th, from 10 to 5 in our Ball High School faculty parking lot, our student council is sponsoring an event. They have developed a cookbook along with lots of heartwarming stories about Hurricane Ike that certainly speak to the beginnings, the middle, and certainly the aftermath and the recovery of where we are now. So I invite all of you to come to that, because just as we have heard from other city officials and certainly our hotel industry and how they are upward and moving on, we are too in Galveston ISD. Thank you.
Does anyone have questions for the mayor?
I do. Mayor Rose and Brad Woodard with Channel 11.
Can you speak up,
Yeah,
please?
I'm sorry. Brad Woodard with Channel 11. Clearly, so much has been accomplished, but what still needs to be done? And of those things that need to be done, what do you think should take the biggest priority?
Well, I think our infrastructure, we're working, Galveston will be 175 years old next year. So some of our infrastructure is always caving in and need of repairs. Plus you put the damage from Ike on top of that. That, I think, is one of our main focuses right now, is to get our infrastructure up and running. We're dealing with our wastewater treatment facility. We're going to have it to a point where we'll be able to take a storm surge of 30 feet. So there's a lot of things going on. But the infrastructure is coming back, and we're working very hard to get that up and running.
So Mayor, how do you compare Galveston now to before Ike?
How do I compare Galveston now? I think it's wonderful. I think Galveston was wonderful before Ike, but I think it's even better because everybody's pulling together to make it a better place.
What percentage would you give Galveston as far as being back up to the Galveston it was before Ike?
Well, we have, our jobs are back up to where they were before Ike, and they even could be more jobs, but we still are lagging getting our population back. And that's one of the things that we're really working very hard. Our independent school district is doing a fantastic job. We're state of the art. We're bringing more and more students back. As I think that improves, I think you're going to see our population come back.
There was a lot made.
You're going to have to be, I'm wearing major hearing aids, so you're going to have to
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Where's the beat?
Okay, after Ike, there was some decrease in the amount of public housing. And there was a lot of tug and war over replacement of that. How much of the diminished population do you think that lingers still is a result of the lack of public housing? I know you're opening the Cedar
Terrace,
right?
And then Magnolia Homes. Actually, Galveston Housing Authority, which has these numbers, their numbers show that we're providing more subsidized housing now than we did before the storm through a voucher program, which was a program in which I ran to be elected on. But I think we're ahead of the scale on providing subsidized housing for the folks that need it.
So the subsidized housing, I guess an exodus of that right after the storm, that's come back to where it was. So your population numbers, they're still missing from other sectors?
The type of project vouchers that were issued can allow a person to use that voucher in a community where there might be job opportunities. So
I see.
it's not necessarily back
On
in
the island.
Galveston.
And I know you were wanting to do the voucher system citywide and not necessarily put up public housing complexes. So you're getting to do both? You're going to be
Yes, there are developments. There will be mixed income developments that are going to be state of the art. Going to be beautiful, beautiful developments here on the island.
How many schools still have not been rebuilt and how many will not?
We actually just have one school, our Burnett Elementary, that is now going through extensive renovation, and we hope that it will be open in September of 2014. That's the only one. The rest of them are all open and functioning.
Okay, but you said 3 were going to be closed. Is that
3 were closed directly after the storm, but they since reopened, one in 2009 in February, the other in 2010, and our Burnett will be 2014 opened.
If I could ask one more question.
No.
Yeah. As I said, this is kind of a rhetorical question, if you will. Do you think that some people, given what they went through with Ike, do you think that the trauma was so great there that they left, and some people who once lived here will not return? I know it would probably be a small amount.
That's a great question. I've been here since '65. I went through Alicia. We lost population after Alicia. Been through other little tropical storms and everything. And then, of course, Rita, we lost some population after that. And, of course, after Ike. When I came here in '65, we had a 70,000 population. Galveston is doing something very proactive. We haven't been this proactive since we built the seawall after the 1900 storm. And this is something I think Dr. Merrill is going to be addressing. And I think that once we see the engineering start, you're going to see Galveston boom like it's never boomed before. I think this is a real positive time for Galveston and its citizens. Thank you.
One last question, if I can, before you go, and I'll keep you, and I won't take you long. Talk to us just a little bit about how you're cooperating with the other regions, like Harris County, Brazoria, those places. Just a little bit about how that coordination goes.
I think that it would be best to talk to Dr. Merrill on that. I really do. He can, I know that there are several people involved in fundraising right now to get the monies for the economic study. And there are outreaches to various judges and civic leaders throughout. I had an opportunity to visit with Mrs. Mayor Parker up in Houston the other day. Wanted to get my 2 cents in as far as the Ike there. But I think those should be questions for Dr. Merrill. Thank you very much.